What's going on, guys? Today we're taking a look at the Aaronrhino Grady exclusive kit here, part of Bandai's HG Kyoukai Senki line. Yes, this line is still alive and well, with more releases still continuing to come out. This version of the Aaronrhino does look very cool. Of course, it's going to be very similar to a couple of kits that we've built in the past in the line. Of course, this is just a variant of that, but it looks really cool. I'm definitely looking forward to checking this one out. Really cool kits from this series, and it's been a while since I've built one, so let's go ahead and check it out here for today's video. Right, so for the box art here on the front, as always with this line, we got some really cool box art here, highly detailed with all the weathering and lighting effects, everything that you can see here in this kind of action scene. Just because it's been a while since we've taken a look at one of these, just to give you guys a nice close-up look at that. Like I said, really great painting effects and everything that you can see here on the box art there of the mecha unit, including this marking decal right there on the front of the chest there as well. On the side of the box, you can see this is number 18 in the line, and a pretty thicker, good size box here for this one. On the bottom, we got to look at the fully painted front and back view of the kit there in this really nice kind of blue and gray color scheme here for this. Over here, more details about the gimmicks and articulation, weapons, and how this can be used with the aircraft kit there, of course, sold separately. And then on the top side of the box, of course, you can customize this further with some of the many weapons available in the weapons packs that they also sell. So here's a little bit more introduction about the story there. And with that, we can pop open the box and check out all of our contents inside here. We'll check out the instructions first, where we're going to have the same box art once again, introduction text there in Japanese and in English. Down here, pretty cool illustration front and back of the unit, and then over here a little bit about Grady Ellison, the pilot here. So that's all in Japanese and in English as well. Very nice. Around on the back side, some more information there, and basically kind of the same photos that we saw on the outside of the box, but showing what some of the different weapons and accessories are here for the unit. Also the marking there on the chest, as I mentioned. And then down here is our color guide there at the bottom that's also available for you in Japanese and in English. On the inside here, this is kind of interesting, a graphic showing all of the different hard points around on the kit. So if you wanted to customize this by adding different weapons or accessories, this is showing you, again, just kind of where all the hard points are going to be. And I guess if you scan this QR code, it shows you more customized examples that you can see there if you go to the website. So that's pretty cool. Our parts list is also here in full color, as with the beginning of the construction stages, putting the kit together, and then after that, on the inside of the manual, it's just all going to be there in black and white for the rest of the construction. And here is our included sticker sheet for this. As you can see, it's basically just a couple of stickers there for some different camera bits, and that's pretty much it. So that looks pretty good. And then of course we have a couple of stickers here for that marking on the front of the chest there, that custom marking, very cool. Then getting into the runners here, runner A1 we have 2 of, and then runner A2 here, these are all going to be parts for like the mechanical aspects, joints, and frame parts here in a dark gunmetal color. Runner B2 we have 2 of. This is in a kind of blue-gray, intermediate blue kind of color here, very nice. Runners C1 and C2 are some parts here in a darker navy blue, there you go. Runners D1 and D2, D1 being in a very light blue, D2 obviously being our clear black piece there for like the top of the head. Runners G1 and G2, some more parts here in a navy. And then runner H is a few more parts here in dark gunmetal. Runner I, a couple of mostly weapons parts here, it looks like, in a just medium gray color. And lastly, runner J1, a few more parts here in light blue, and that's it. And real quick, guys, in this video, I thought it also might make sense to take a look back here at the, maybe more at the border line, weapon set 3 here. As you can see, the Brady Phantom, some of these weapons and the included accessories in here go quite well with these kind of Brady Fox, Brady Phantom line of kits here. So there at the top you can see what we've got included, but then we also have that here on this bottom of the box where it shows the contents of this set. We've got the shield and the rifle basically from the standard kit, and then a few other different parts here like swords, these grappling hooks and stuff. So these can be used with a number of different kits in the series there, of course, and it's showing you a few different examples here on the bottom side of what you can see is a pretty thin box. Going around to the other side, there's a little bit of an introduction about the story, and that's pretty much it here for the box art. Inside, our contents are going to consist of probably just a couple of runners, and we'll take a look at those here in just a second. An instruction manual, which does have our parts list here at the bottom with a big section of that runner that's not used. I'm guessing those are like kind of frame and joint parts for one of the Brady kits that we are going to be using a sword part for, and that's the only piece from this runner. Kind of interesting that that be such a, well, there's one little part in there that we're going to use as well, it looks like. Anyway, it does seem kind of like a lot of wasted plastic, but it's basically separated into, this is how you build this part, here's how you build that part, here's how you build that part, which the sword, I mean, it's basically just one part, pretty straightforward. The inside is going to be black and white, whereas you saw there for a moment that the outside of the instruction manual is in color, but a pretty straightforward construction process for these. All the runners are going to be molded in this very dark gray, essentially black color. And then you do have 2 of these black wires, each one measuring about 10 centimeters in length for the grappling hook accessories. Just take a quick look at the runners. Here is runner F1. There you can see those grappling hook parts right there up at the top. Runner E here looks like primarily parts for the shield and a couple other bits on there. Runner A1 is going to be that runner that we're going to end up not using most of these parts except for this one right here, and then the sword ones over here on the side, and we do have 2 of that A1 runner. Lastly, then runner F is a couple of parts there for the long rifle, and runner F2, a few more parts on there, and that's it for this set. All right, here is the kit all built up. Obviously a very familiar build, as like I said, we've built in a couple of different variations of this kit in the past, but always a really cool kit. Love this design, and I have to say, working on this kit again just really makes me want to actually work on painting one of these, and it would be really cool to work on making a custom one of these and doing some painting on it, as at the moment I haven't actually painted any of the Kyoukai Senki kits, and this is definitely one of my favorite designs in its many iterations, one of my favorite designs from the line so far, and this one is a really cool one in particular with the new parts that we have on here. It's definitely quite interesting, but let's go ahead and check out the accessories, and we'll take a closer look at the kit itself, and then we'll check out that weapon set. So first off, we do have open hands. Now they may look essentially the same, although the left side and the right side are slightly different in the thumb and like the 4th digit, although again they look very similar, are slightly different in overall the shape and size. But we also have a set of holding hands here. These are exactly the same. So the left and right side doesn't matter for the holding hands. These also have the added gimmick of a sort of knuckle punch action here, where that part can be slid forward for a kind of physical offensive weapon there on the hand, so that's pretty cool. And speaking of weaponry, here is the short barrel rifle. This one does have 2 foil stickers there for the cameras on that. This will attach into the hand and also onto the side of the arm, if you'll notice right over here. So we can slot that into our holding hand, plug that in over here, and then we've got a super solid connection here and a really cool looking rifle. I really like how that's held, how it's kind of like off to the side of the arm and not just like a normal rifle, how it would normally be like above the hand and arm and then kind of extending forward, how it's just kind of off to the side there. It's a unique look, and that's very much the theme for this line in general. The robot, the mecha designs, as well as many of the weapon designs here too, are quite unique. Somewhat less so though, we do have its other weapon, which is just a sword. Nothing really too special about that. It's just a sword that fits into the hand very simply. It's just a single piece in a single color. This is actually a connection piece, so even though the sword itself is pretty simple and straightforward, the mounting system for this, that's what this piece is for, is quite unique, as this mounts, as we've seen before, actually up underneath this part, which I would say is sort of like in the armpit. So for the torso, you have like this main center section, these side parts, and then the arm. And so this is actually going to mount into this hard point right underneath right here, and that's where that's going to be stored. And like I said, that's definitely more unique than just like on the side skirt or on the backpack, which is kind of the typical places we're used to if you build a lot of Gunpla, for example. And on that note, you do have another one of those mounting pieces here, but you only have one sword, but you can put this on the other side too if you want to. If you have a different weapon or something from a different set, you might be able to use that. And then speaking of mounting other weapons, we also have a couple of connection pieces here included, this little connection arm and this little connection peg here. We have 2 of each of those, and these could be mounted up here onto the backpack, for example, for storing added weaponry or added like missile launchers or something, whatever else you might want to store up. And that doesn't have to be on the backpack. Any of the number of hard points we have here around on the kit, on the side of the leg, on the side of the arm, wherever you might need to use these connection pieces, you have those included. And then finally, around here on the back skirt, we have these couple of mounting pieces here, where if you plug those onto there like that, you can actually store the rifle here stored on the back skirt on these racks right there, which is pretty cool. And then we have some pieces here which you're going to use for if you wanted to have this in use with the stork carrier. So you'll have to connect this onto the back, and then there's the other couple little like adapter pieces that you have to use for the connection pieces to have this in use with the stork carrier. I'm not going to bother with that for today in this review, but I have reviewed the stork carrier before. You guys can check out that review if you'd like, that aircraft model kit from the line. It's pretty cool. And then finally, we have an option part here for the head or the eye, whether you want it in combat mode or scouting mode. So scouting mode would be this one here, where as you can see, we have this big sticker and there's a number of different cameras there that you can see. But for combat mode, that's sort of more closed up and it's just the one camera that you can see. So you can swap between those. And it's pretty easy to just pop that piece out and use that different one if you want. And then on the note of foil stickers, obviously we have these 2 pink ones right here on the front of the chest, as well as there's that marking sticker I went ahead and put there on the chest as well. And it's not really very easy to see, but if you pop off that clear part on the top, there's another pink foil sticker there on this part, this kind of like sensor there underneath that dark clear part there on the top as well. And so, all right, just to talk a little bit more about the kit generally, like I said, we've seen this kit essentially before, so there's not really a whole lot new about it. The articulation as it goes with these kits is really, really nice. So you have some really nice movement everywhere that will allow you to do some really nice posing. These little claw bits here on the toes, on like the front and the back of the foot anyway, those little claws will move, which makes for a pretty cool dynamic look. This piece of armor here on the back side of the ankle also moves. So like if you had this in like a diorama where you had this like on top of a rock or like a crushed building or something like that, or on top of another mech, you could show it like with the claws dug in. Pretty cool. And then up here in the torso, as I was mentioning, you have the main torso section, this middle section, and then the arm. So between there you have a couple of points of articulation, which make for some cool looking movement there. This piece here on the side can be omitted if you want. That's just another hard point that you would have there if you want to remove these kind of like booster parts there on the side. And then around here on the back, this is something that is pretty interesting. These sections here on like what is essentially the backpack sort of, but these are actually just connected onto the back side of those middle sections. These can move up and down, and then you have like 4 of these little flaps, one on the left, right, top, and bottom, that can move independently around these thruster bells there on the back. And that again would look pretty cool with some effect parts or something in there. I think that would look very interesting. All right, let's take a look at a few poses here with this kit before we dive into the weapon set. A really cool kit, like I said. I love the design of it. It's such a cool design. And one thing that I hadn't mentioned yet is that you really don't have any seam lines on this anywhere at all, even on the weapon, which unlike an HG kit, something like this, a weapon would be one point where you would pretty much expect that you're probably going to have at least some sort of seam line or something on there. But nope, it's not the case with this. You don't have any seam lines really to worry about on this design at all. So it'd be a very easy kit to paint up, which again just makes me feel, like I mentioned before, that I would love to paint up one of these kits, and this would certainly be a great one to do that. Anywhere where you would have seams is just basically made up as a detail line or a panel line or something, and that is one thing that I really like about these kits too. They have a really nice amount of detail. Not super duper detailed everywhere, but a nice level of detail, I think, for the designs, and certainly considering that these are 1/72 scale, so even though they are like HG and similar in size to Gunpla kits, which are 1/44 scale, the scale is very different, and so I feel like the amount of detail matches pretty well for the scale as well. But there is certainly areas that you could add more detail to if that was your inclination, and especially with these being a bit more kind of like realistic in terms of like the mechanical aspect of them, adding some more real world kind of mechanical style details to a design like this I think could actually work pretty well. But right, so as for our weapon set, here's a couple of the basic weapons which we've seen before with different versions of the Brady Hound, I believe it was, that had this long rifle. This one as well, just going to fit into the hand. You have this secondary handle here at the front attached onto this piece, which can move around like that. Very cool design. I love this rifle design. It is a really nice one. If you wanted a bit more heavy weaponry and for heavy defense, we have the shield here as well. This one's just going to fit into the hand, has this handle which will move on the back there, and then the front half of the shield, or at least I guess the shield itself, anyway, can bend in half there too for however you might need to utilize that. Otherwise, pretty straightforward here, just a couple of pieces. And then we have these 2 long swords here, which are pretty long, but will work here in this same mounting piece that we have. So we don't have an additional mounting piece included with this set, but the Aaronrhino here, and then like I said, I believe the Brady Hound and also Phantom Hound and a number of these other different designs do also include this mounting piece. So as long as you have that mounting piece, you can store the swords up in there like that. And like I said, we do have a second one, so we could have both the swords up in there. And as you can see, these swords are quite long, but are going to look very cool there in hand. So all of those accessories, the shield, the long rifle / cannon, the swords, can be used with our Aaronrhino like that, as well as a number of other different designs from the series can use some of those weapons. Now that said, everything else from this set is kind of basically made for the Joehound, which I looked and I can't find my Joehound anywhere. So I'm gonna try and see, like some of these parts like here, these are foot parts here that I believe should be usable here on our Aaronrhino, even though, again, like I said, according to the manual, these are made for the Joehound. Yeah, those fit on there just fine like that. But these like grappling hook launcher parts here are meant to fit up on top of the like shoulder parts of the Joehound, and we don't have the right mounting points here on this kit to be able to demonstrate this, unfortunately. But it is a really cool accessory here, and this part can come out, and then obviously we can swap that for the open version of that. I'm just gonna plug the wire into here in its place. And although the wire is small, and as you can see, it actually can hold up the weight of that accessory relatively well there. It's gonna be kind of wobbling like that, obviously, but if you just had this posed on your shelf or whatever on in your display case, that would work pretty well. It would look pretty cool. Then we've also got a couple of these mounting pieces here, which are made to fit around on the back skirt of the Joehound, which again are made for just basically being able to mount the rifle onto the back skirt of that kit. And then these parts here as well, which I'm not exactly sure what these are for, but these are just option parts for the side skirts of the Joehound. And the connection, as you can see, is like a C-clip connection, whereas unfortunately here for this kit, it's just a ball joint connection, so won't be able to demonstrate some of those parts. But as for the weapons here that I can demonstrate on this kit here for you guys today, I will also include the feet in there, even though, again, like I said, the feet are not necessarily made for this particular kit, but you can use a lot of these parts with a lot of different kits. It's just that it would appear those grappling hook parts and then the parts for like the skirt armor pieces and stuff are really, I think, gonna only work on the Joehound, it would seem, although I'm not necessarily sure if there are other kits in the line. It could be that there is one or two other ones that I'm just not remembering at the moment that would be compatible with a couple of those parts. But just thinking offhand and then just going off what's in the manual, it would seem that you would need the Joehound for some of those, which the Joehound is a great kit, and I'd highly recommend that kit as well if you guys don't have one. If you're interested in some of those parts, like those grappling hook parts, and using them with the Joehound, I would absolutely recommend picking up this weapon set and the Joehound kits, just because there are definitely some cool parts there. But anyway, the weapons here and option parts in this set are pretty cool. Like I said, I do really love that long rifle cannon design. It is really cool, and this is not the first time that we've seen that, and this is not the only way to get that weapon. This is definitely a cool set. Like I said, if you wanted to add some heavy either offensive or defensive capabilities to one of your suits here like this. And even though there are different scale, these weapons are indeed very usable with your Gunpla, even though the scale is different. The size, and specifically also the size of the handle, is a compatible size that would work really well with your 144 scale Gunpla, so whether it be high grade or real grade, whatever. If you wanted to use some of the weapons from this set with some of your Gunpla, you can absolutely do that. But that's gonna just about do it for the review today, guys. If you do have any other further questions or comments, do feel free to let me know in the comment section down below the video. And of course, if you guys want to check out some of these kits for yourself, you can check the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. We've got a bunch of these awesome kits from this series there on the website if you guys want to check them out. There's a lot of really interesting mecha designs, and the kits are all really nice as well, so I would highly recommend you guys check them out if you haven't before. But as always, guys, thank you so much for all of your support, whether it be leaving a like or making sure that you're subscribed here as well. It also helps out a great deal, so I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Until next time, hope you guys all have a great day. I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.